Logan Schumpert, and I'm a freshman here at Clemson, and I chose to do the new student dialogue on poverty for Library 100, and here are my thoughts on the entire process. The first question on Blackboard asked, do you feel your group achieved true dialogue, why or why not? And I said that, or I say, that I feel like the group I attended was very vocal and opinionated, and it was for all different kinds of reasons. At some points in the dialogue, I kind of felt like people's opinions were pressured or pushed more than others, especially by participants actually who were older in the room, which is kind of ironic. And the way in which they conveyed their beliefs and expressions, their beliefs and opinions, almost seemed as if their opinion was right or wrong. And that's kind of ironic as well because an opinion isn't right or wrong. That's a fact. So, yeah, I didn't like that part. That was kind of dumb. Next part says share your observations and the dynamics of the group. So it says were there active voices in your dialogue and were there more reserved voices? And yes, they were both. And the more active voices were people who were on either side of the end, not necessarily of the end of the spectrum of poverty, but their opinion on poverty, kind of more conservative and more liberal. And there were voices who were very opinionated, who were affected personally by poverty, and there were voices who were very loud, who had no idea or really hadn't had the realizations of poverty. So those were the two groups of people I would say who were very voiced. And then the next part says were there voices who were more reserved, and the voices who were more reserved were people who A, didn't want to be there, or B, didn't want to be there, or C, were shy. And another part says is where they're more, oh, I just said that. The next part says, what role did you play in your group? And I think I played on both sides of the fence. I was outspoken in parts of the dialogue, and I was more quiet in others. And I became more quiet in parts of the dialogue, actually, where many of the leaders and adults of the dialogue made a lot of the participants feel guilty or pressured into their beliefs. And that was kind of surprising considering they were adults. You would think they would act like adults. And I just kind of found it ironic that one of the whole reasons I chose to do this dialogue in the first place, personally, was because I wanted to have a better understanding and view on this specific topic. And to relay a message about understanding and tolerance in an opinionated and forceful way, I personally think isn't very effective. I think it's really ineffective. And they kind of conflict one another. Very opinionated, strong, forceful beliefs and conveyed in the wrong way can make people point the exact opposite direction. So why do I think the dialogue is a component of Library 100? I don't really know why we do Library 100, but I kind of understand why we do this. And I think freshmen and new students are asked graded to do this because it makes students at Clemson more
well educated. It makes them more open-minded. It makes them more well-rounded, especially considering that a lot of students who go to Clemson may have come from a very conservative and very sheltered background. But quite frankly, I don't think it's that much more effective than college in and of itself, because college for 99.9% of students, or for 99.9% of people that I've ever heard or known, is a kind of an eye-opener in and of itself. Like, you meet so many different people and you get to know so many different people from so many different backgrounds and religions and faiths and economic statuses and stuff like that. So, you didn't really have to have a dialogue to do that. If you kind of are an open, I guess you don't have to be an open person, but you run into that in college and anyway, so the dialogue was fine. I didn't mind going. It really didn't care. I learned stuff. So, yeah. Thanks. that's all, folks.